So back in April, Walmart in Chicago shut down 4 stores, and they're done. In fact, Walmart even said that, hey, we opened the first store 17 years ago. We never even really made that much money. And I think after the pandemic, Chicago crime got really bad. I mean, just look at some of the real estate prices, you kind of get the idea. If real estate prices are dropping this much and you're selling 250,000 square footage of office space in the Loop for just $4 measly mil, I mean, this city has truly deteriorated. Like, come on. So if you look at what's going on in Chicago, a lot of these supermarkets are closing, right? It's not just the Walmarts closing down, but you also have the Whole Foods and also other grocery stores, the smaller mom and pop ones, all closing down. And Whole Foods closed after 6 years in the South Side lots, 1 year before Whole Foods' 7-year lease was up. I mean, Whole Foods was leaving so much money. They were losing a bunch of money, and they're like, we just can't survive in this market. We just have to leave. And the mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, said he wants to open city-owned grocery stores to serve neighborhoods that become food deserts after 4 Walmarts and the Whole Foods closed down. In fact, a lot of these stores are leaving because the crime rate is just so incredibly high. Chicago crime is one of the highest in the nation. And, ever since Brandon Johnson was in office, statistics show a massive increase in crime. There's basically no consequences. And if there's a lot of shoplifting, the city doesn't care. It's the same thing as happening in San Francisco. If you look at San Francisco, shoplifting is so bad recently that if you look at the San Francisco Center Mall, the occupancy rate is only 25%, whereas Westfield Mall says that their other locations have an occupancy rate of at least 92-93%. So they're down to only a handful of stores left. And this is like downtown, high-end, prime real estate that lost $1 billion of valuation in the past half a decade. Same thing's happening in Chicago. A lot of these stores, they can't take the heat. If they're constantly getting robbed, constantly getting shoplifted, they cannot survive. In fact, a lot of these stores said they lost millions of dollars staying in Chicago, and they're kind of done. They don't want to be here anymore. And the city having these, grocery stores owned by the city, it's not well. Denver has a grocery store owned by the city, and they're losing money. Unless the city wants to lose money operating these stores, then be my guest, because this is just capitalism. If a location doesn't make money, nobody goes. If a location makes a lot of money, then everyone will start fighting for retail space. And right now, I do feel kind of bad for some of the Chicago guys. A lot of Chicago guys, especially in the South Side and the West Side, food deserts. No supermarket. You got to drive like 10, 15, 20 minutes to get to like a supermarket. And the crime is just out of control. Like, these stores just cannot survive, especially when there's crime. I mean, every city has crime, but when you have crime and then there's no consequences, this is what happens. A bunch of these stores leave. And when these stores leave, they're never coming back. And look at this. We also have a Save-A-Lot that's recently being delayed. It's not even that big of a Save-A-Lot. Like, they're literally just going to be selling fresh produce, fresh meat. And Southside Food Desert still waiting on the grocery store after developers snagged a $5 million city grant. And right now, operator Yellow Banana was approved for the grant last year, but hasn't met the requirements to go forward. Right now, there's a lot of rumors saying that a lot of these corporations like Save-A-Lot who want to open a store in South Side of Chicago, there's no competition. So if they open one, the business is going to be pretty good. But it really depends on the shoplifting versus the revenue. If the revenue is higher than shoplifting, then they're going to stay and they're going to be making mad bank. But right now, if you go to some of these food deserts, it's super empty. There's barely any stores around. I mean, it looks like this a lot. And there's also this huge immigrant situation in Chicago, the immigrant crisis. So I don't really think the city right now has time, money, or the capability to focus on their city-owned grocery stores, especially with all the crazy stuff happening. And it's only going to get worse, guys. Chicago real estate is already one of the lowest in the nation by price per square feet. And these Walmarts, they closed down. In fact, they are actually happy to close down. This is how bad it's getting in Chicago. You have food deserts everywhere. Corporations refuse to move in because it's so bad. And the law enforcement really isn't doing anything either. And it kind of sucks for the people who live there too, right? That's about it, guys. Thanks for watching. Comment below. How do you guys feel about this? You also have a massive downgrade of Chicago real estate, which is also pretty frightening to see. When you see real estate prices drop this much for this long, something is wrong with the city. And it's only going to get worse. even the downtown loop areas are facing pretty massive foreclosures, vacancies, and empty resale space.